Start with invocation prayer.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Isavasya Upanishads. We'll chant from mantra 5 to 10.
Tadejati tannai taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bahyataha yastu sarvani bhutanyaatmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chātmanam tato na vijugupsate yasmin sarvāni bhutanyātmaiva bhūtvijanataha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvamanupashyataha saparyagat shukramakayamavranamsnāvirago shuddhamapāpavidham kavirmanishi paribhūsvayam bhūryāthā tathyatorthānvyadadhāt shāshvatibhyas samābhyah Andham tamah pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamoya uvidyaya gurataha anyadevahurvidyaya anyadahuravidyaya iti shushrumadhīrāṇāṃ yenastadvichachakshire.
So last week we discussed mantra 4, 5, and 6. So to understand the thought flow from mantra 6 onwards, what we are going to study, that mantra 6 talked about the state of partial realization. It's called as savikalpa samadhi, just short of self-realization. Mantra 7, he's going to talk about nirvikalpa samadhi, the state of complete spiritual enlightenment. And mantra 8 talks about life of an enlightened person post self-realization. So that's the thought flow. And coming back to mantra 6, just to recap the main points. He indeed who perceives all beings in the very self, and the self in all beings, he then feels no abhorrence, no vijugupsase, gupsate. Oh, it's an interesting word, vijugupsa. So what we learn, I'm just recapping. There are three stages of spiritual development. This is how you evolve, broadly speaking. Initially, there is plurality, then there is duality, and there is oneness. So, plurality is when you are somebody who is totally ignorant. See, again, in plurality, there are various stages. It could be totally pluralistic, less pluralistic, and all that. So, when somebody is totally ignorant of the supreme reality, the entire focus is on me, like your personality. This is how ego is born. This is how you go on feeding your ego. So, therefore, there are maximum divisions and demarcations. Everything is distinct, everything is different because the focus is completely this is my body, this is my mind, this is my intellect, and you arrogate everything to yourself. So, therefore, any object or a being which is not part of that I, that ego, you clash with that object or a being. So it's almost like running into a wall all the time. I think last week we saw that PowerPoint presentation, right? So it becomes clear with that. And as you evolve spiritually, you start identifying with people. If there is harmony, there is a feeling of camaraderie, right? There is feeling of oneness, clashes, differences, they reduce. And then you come to a state. He's talking about that enlightened person who has come to a state of duality. There is oneness everywhere, there is divinity everywhere, but still fiber of ego is lingering. So therefore we say there is duality. There is individuality which is experiencing divinity everywhere. So there is that subject-object relationship. So therefore it is called savikalpa samadhi, with thought. The fiber of ego is still there. And then we discuss the concept of ego in detail. So I'm not getting into the explanation again, that how ego is created, how we keep on feeding that ego, you know. So it's that arrogating principle which bothers us throughout our life, mental agitations, conflicts, and whatnot. Then we did discuss the poem Mountain and a Squirrel by Emerson. Just we in passing we talked about it. It's a very powerful poem. That why unnecessarily conflict with others. Squirrel was minding its own business, poor thing. Mountain for no reason he poked her. It's not that she poked him. I mean, she's like, whatever squirrels do, they're having good time. That's what the ego is. For no reason you poke people. For everything is going smooth. Something happens. That agitations they come out. So this is how you clash with people. So once there is ego, there are various complexes, superiority complex, inferiority complex. So that's the price we all pay for living in ignorance. So as you evolve spiritually, these divisions, these demarcations, differences, they vanish, they start vanishing. And then you come to a point where there is no Vijugupsa. That's what he's talking about. There is no abhorrence towards any object or a being. There is no dislike, there is no hatred, there is no resistance towards others. So we talked about example of mother and a child just for reference. So we understand what is the concept all about. So somebody who has come to that state, Savikalpa Samadhi, partial self-realization, grief is gone, shoka is gone, mental agitations are gone because there is oneness everywhere. But moha is still there, delusion is still there. So how we understand this? There is apprehension of reality, there is non-apprehension of reality, and non-apprehension of reality produces the misapprehension of the pluralistic world. So here we are talking about somebody who is on the verge of spiritual enlightenment. So misapprehension is completely gone. There is no snake. As long as there is snake, there is attendant fear. Snake is this, snake is that. That is misapprehension. So similarly, misapprehension of the world is gone. You are experiencing oneness everywhere. But non-apprehension is still lingering. You have not become one with the reality. There is no fear of snake, but you have not apprehended the rope. So similarly, misapprehension of the world is gone, but the non-apprehension is still lingering, meaning you have not yet apprehended the supreme reality. So that's the state of Savikalpa Samadhi. So these are the main points in mantra 6. And then mantra 7, it talks about the state of complete spiritual enlightenment, which is called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So with so much of explanation, mantra 7 is just a formality. So we'll chant mantra 7, Akran.
यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मैवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोक एकत्वमनुपश्यतः यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतान्यात्मैवाभूद्विजानतः तत्र को मोहः कः शोक एकत्वमनुपश्यतः.
To the realized one, all beings have become the very self. What delusion, what grief can there be for the perceiver of oneness? Tatra ko moha kashoka. So what grief, what delusion? So in mantra 6, shoka is already gone. We discussed that. That's the main point. Now, in this verse, he is talking about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where moha or delusion also is gone. You get the point? So the state of self-realization is called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So the seeker merges with supreme reality. It's like river entering the ocean. So once the river enters the ocean, it becomes one with ocean. So where there is river, where there is ocean, there is no such distinction. So the state of self-realization, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, is when individuality completely merges with the reality, the supreme reality. So there is no more individuality left. The delusion is gone. Non-apprehension is gone. Misapprehension is already gone. Mantra 6. Now the non-apprehension also goes. So you apprehend the reality. You become one with supreme reality. There is no experiencer and experienced relationship. Mantra 6, there is experiencer, experienced relationship. You get it? There is an individual who is experiencing splash of divinity everywhere. Itself is an extraordinary state. that there is subject-object relationship. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is no subject and object relationship. When there is supreme reality everywhere, who is experiencing what? You get the point. So, Mantra 6, Savikalpa Samadhi, Mantra 7 talks about Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Mantra 8 talks about life of a self-realized person after he attains spiritual enlightenment. So we'll chant Mantra 8.
सपर्यगाच्छुक्रमकायमव्रणमस्नाभिरगो शुद्धमपापविद्धम् कविर्मनीषी परिभू स्वयं भूयाथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः सपर्यगाच्छुक्रमकायमव्रणमस्नाभिरगो शुद्धमपापविद्धम् कविर्मनीषी परिभू स्वयं भूयाथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः
He is all pervading, resplendent, without body, scathless, without sinews, pure, untainted by sin, seer, omniscient, transcendent, and self-existent. He has allotted the respective duties for eternal years. So he is equating enlightened person to supreme reality. And in doing so, he talks about his life after attaining the state of spiritual enlightenment. See, those who are really interested in knowing more about the state of self-realization, I would recommend chapter 15 of Vedanta treatise. Otherwise, it will take minimum 2 classes to explain what is it all about. So I repeat, Vedanta treatise, The Eternities, it's a main book by Swamiji. In that, there is chapter number 15. It is called The State of Self-Realization. So if you read that, good many of you have done it a couple of times. So that gives complete explanation of what is self-realization all about. But to explain briefly, see what we need to understand that how the entire cycle of birth and death starts and continues. So there are total vasanas, unmanifest desires. So they are called as Sanchita vasanas. So out of these Sanchita vasanas, total vasanas, aggregate vasanas, bundle of vasanas, a set of vasanas, they need immediate expression, manifestation, and they pop out as it were. So I repeat, the total vasanas, they are called as Sanchita vasana. You can project the PowerPoint. It becomes easy with that. You can see on the screen, right? So the total vasanas, that circle, is called as Sanchita vasanas. And the set of vasanas, they need immediate expression. So therefore they manifest. So these manifested vasanas from the total stock of Sanchita vasanas, they are called as Prarabdha vasanas. That is you and me. That is our life. And this is how, and this cycle continues. Once you experience Prarabdha vasanas which have manifested, next set of vasanas which need expression from Sanchita vasanas, they pop out. That is another life. And this cycle continues. Now, only as a human being, listen to this very carefully. You have the capacity to wipe out your entire Sanchita Vasanas. No other creature can do that. So we keep on saying human birth is special, it is a gift. The why it is a gift? That only as a human being, let's say this is Prarabdha Vasana, Makran, this is a Makran's Prarabdha Vasanas. So Makran has capacity to wipe out his entire Sanchitas. Or he can add to Sanchita Vasanas. Animals, they cannot do anything. They cannot add to the Sanchita Vasanas, they cannot eliminate their Sanchita Vasanas. But only as a human being, we have been given this gift. See, to make it more simple, even in this lifetime, there are so many vasanas you are having. I am explaining Prarabdha vasanas. So right now, the vasana or desire to learn this knowledge is expressing itself. So therefore, you have come here, right? Once it is fulfilled, maybe another vasana will pop up. That maybe I have to go to a temple or a church. So you go to a temple or a church. In the evening, another desire will be there. Maybe I have to attend some function, or maybe I have some extra office work which I need to take care of. So it continues. So similarly, from the total stock of Sanchita Vasanas, these Prarabdha Vasanas, they keep on manifesting. And only as a human being, you can wipe out your entire stock, entire Sanchita Vasanas. And when you do that, that state is called as state of self-realization. But the prarabdha vasanas with which you are born, you cannot tamper with that. So that is the life of an enlightened person after he reaches the state of self-realization. But there is no connection with that prarabdha vasanas at all. There is complete disconnect. That individuality has snapped. It is as if like he's watching the movie, like how we watch a movie on the screen. So much is happening there. There is joy, there is sorrow, there is war, there is peace, there is this, there is that. But we are not part of that. So that is the life of an enlightened person after he gains spiritual enlightenment. And when prarabdha vasanas are over, he dies. Same thing is happening to us, but then we'll continue. Next set of vasanas will pop up. In his or her case, since he has wiped out his entire vasanas, there is no rebirth because desire or a vasana is a cause, birth is the effect. So he has wiped out his entire stock. But then how does he function? This is what, how that prarabdha vasana functions. So it's like you are traveling at a speed of 70 miles per hour in a car. We often give this example. And if you switch off the engine at 70 miles per hour, you switch off the engine, car will continue to move for 100 meters, 200 meters, whatever. Though there is no propelling power. This is what you need to understand. Somebody may say, okay, you switched off the engine, then how come the car is still moving? There is no propelling force. Still, car will move for 100 meters, 200 meters because of its original velocity. It has already acquired that velocity. It's traveling at 70 miles per hour and you switch off the engine at that speed. Still, car will continue for 100 meters, 200 meters due to its original speed, that velocity. Once that velocity is over, it will come to a standstill. So that is the life of an enlightened person after he reaches the state of spiritual enlightenment. There is no desire in him or her, there is no propelling force, but still he continues to function, just like you and me, because that prarabdha, the bundle of prarabdha is still there, that original velocity is still there. And it depends. If that prarabdha vasana is very feeble, maybe he will live for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. If that prarabdha vasana is strong, he may live for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, so whatever. Number one. Also, their lifestyle is totally different from each other. Though all of them have reached the state of enlightenment, which is same, but the expression which they display in the world, enlightened masters, they could be like chalk and cheese. That is where the confusion comes. Though all of them have reached the same state of spiritual enlightenment, we feel they should manifest themselves in exactly the same way. It doesn't happen that way because prarabdha vasanas are totally different. See, Christ had a different personality, right? Krishna's personality is totally different from Christ. Krishna was very aggressive by nature, so no nonsense, no sacrifice. You mess up with him, he will. I mean, of course, to fight unrighteousness. Lord Rama, his personality was totally different from Krishna, right? Ramana Maharshi is a very famous sage from India. So after he attained enlightenment, he hardly spoke. He observed Maunam, and he's famous for that. Even now, if you go near Chennai, there is a place. I think I went there a few years back. Tirunamalai, right? Like, I mean, you can't describe what is it. But the cave where he used to stay, he stayed for 10, 15 years. There is some different vibration. Don't ask me what is it, but there is something that silence speaks. So he hardly spoke. Swami Ramatirtha was a very powerful orator. He went to 2 or 3 countries and literally rocked the audience with his speech. Adi Shankaracharya, he was a great karma yogi, tremendous man of tremendous energy. Also, he was very devotional. Some of his devotional compositions are chanted even now. Those are from traditional background. They will know what I'm talking about. And also, he was a brilliant intellectual. He wrote books like Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha. Tradition says he wrote more than 500 books. So, Adi Shankaracharya's personality is totally different from Ramana Maharshi. You get the point. This is where the confusion comes. Ramana Maharshi's personality is totally different from Krishna. Krishna's personality is totally different from sage Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja is the, you can't say founder of Carnatic music. He expressed that state with singing. That is referred to as Carnatic music. So therefore, it is the highest music. It's not because we are phonetically attached to Carnatic music. First of all, I am not from that part of the world. I mean, yes, it's an Indian music, but it's mainly from South India. But why it is so pure? Because this is how Saint Tyagaraja expressed himself, right? So it's like chalk and cheese. You get the point. So the way Krishna functioned, the way Lord Rama functioned, the way Christ functioned, the way Ramana Maharshi functioned, the way Swami Ramatirtha function, the expressions are totally different. Their lifestyle is totally different. But they all had reached the same state, the state of spiritual enlightenment. But why their lifestyle was different? Why expressions were different? Because their prarabdhas were totally different. But they had absolutely nothing to do with the functioning of prarabdha. And when prarabdha vasanas are over, you can exhaust that only by experience. When prarabdhas are over, there is death. Same thing is happening to you and me. Whenever your prarabdhas are over, you die. If somebody dies at the age of 1, prarabdhas were only that much. Somebody lives to the ripe old age of 95, prarabdhas are over that much. You die in an accident, doesn't matter the mode of death. Or you commit a suicide or somebody kills you. When your prarabdhas are over, you die. But in our case, next set of vasanas will pop up from the Sanchita vasanas. But in the case of an enlightened person, there is no such thing because he has completely exhausted his vasanas, the total stock. So this is how enlightened person functions after attaining the state of spiritual enlightenment. And you don't have to know grammar, but in the book it is quite well explained. Mantra 6, he says Yaha. Yaha means he who. In mantra 7, he uses the word Yasmin. Yasmin is a locative singular for ya and yat. It's neuter. It means that which. So there is no personality involved there. And again in mantra 8, he brings in individuality. He says saha, he. You get the point. Mantra 6 is talking about savikalpa samadhi, somebody who is on the verge of spiritual enlightenment. Right? So there is still individuality lingering. So he says yaha. Yaha means he who. Mantra 7 talks about total self-realization. There is nirvikalpa samadhi. So there is no personality there at all. So therefore he says that which, you know. And again he brings in individuality. The personality is mantra 8, which is that prarabdha is functioning. It's not that after attaining self-realization you die. Then the whole thing will be the theory. What is the state of self-realization, right? So if you combine these three words, the translation would be something like this: he who becomes that which expresses as he. It's interesting. It's in the book, everything, don't worry. He who becomes that which, the supreme reality, expresses as he. So that bundle of prarabdha vasana continues to function. So it's fascinating. So book has all the explanation. And then he is equating self-realized person to supreme reality. He has become supreme reality. So what is that supreme reality? It is all pervading, paryagat. It is everywhere. It is infinite. It is beyond body, mind, intellect. It is beyond gross body, subtle body, causal body. Kavihi, seer. Seer meaning he who knows everything. See, just as waker knows everything about the dream, dream is an illusion. The dream state does not exist. No dreamer knows that, but waker knows that. So therefore, he has solved the mystery of the dream state. So similarly, self-realized person knows waking world was an illusion. You and I do not know that. Since he has reached that state, he has crossed over the illusion, he understands that the erstwhile world was nothing but the figment of imagination. So therefore, he is called as Kavi, seer, one who knows everything, one who has solved the mystery of creation or life. And also from relative point of view, you can equate the word Kavi, seer, to wisdom. So as you get established in the spiritual path, you become wise. So you have complete clarity to manage your life. So you have that understanding of what is life's true purpose. What's my mission in life? So from relative level, you can take seer from. That could be one of the ways to understand. Manishi meaning omniscient. So pure consciousness supports every perception, action, emotion, and thought. Therefore, it is omniscient, all-knowing. What makes me see is pure consciousness. What makes me hear is pure consciousness. What makes me feel various emotion is pure consciousness. What makes me think is pure consciousness. So it's all-knowing. Manishi, omniscient. Paribhu. Paribhu means it is transcendental. It is beyond the terrestrial world. Swayambhu, self-existent. Uncaused cause. Every other cause has got a cause. But this cause, the supreme reality, has got no cause. Why it has no cause? Because it always existed. It will continue to exist. So therefore it is called as Swayambhu, self-existent. It has allotted the respective duties for eternal years. So Brahman is the substratum of everything. In the book it is mentioned. It has been eternally the light in the sun, heat in fire, life in beings, the essence of all manifest powers. As far as individual is concerned, the enlightened master is concerned, he functions completely objectively. That's the way we can understand that bundle of prarabdha. We said there is no connection. It's like watching a movie. So there is complete objectivity. There is no involvement. As far as you and I are concerned, there is involvement. Even if you're objective, at some stage you will get involved, you will get entangled, and all that. You will get attached, you will become possessive. The enlightened person, he just functions. 100% sakshi is. So that's the way it can be understood. So the main point in mantra 8 is the concept of sanchita vasanas and prarabdha vasanas. So if you understand that, rest is poetry is quite simple. So 6, 7, 8. This is the thought flow. Are we clear? So 6 talked about state of partial self-realization. 7 talked about state of complete spiritual enlightenment, nirvikalpa samadhi. And 8 talked about the life of an enlightened person after self-realization. So hope you are okay. Questions only in the end or on Wednesday. Upanishad class, no questions. We can have Q&A on Upanishad class, but not while the thought flow goes. Mantra 9, please.
अन्धं तमः प्रविशन्ति ये विद्यामुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमोय उविद्याया गुरताः अन्धं तमः प्रविशन्ति ये विद्यामुपासते ततो भूय इव ते तमोय उविद्याया गुरताः
The topic 5 starts from mantra 9. It's called as integral sadhana. And there are 2 sets of mantras here. 9, 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14. So 12, 13 and 14 is the parody of 9, 10 and 11. It is a verbatim repetition of 9, 10 and 11 with few changes, but they mean the same. He uses the word vidya. We're going to talk about it. And 9, 10 and 12, 13 and 14, he uses different words for vidya and avidya. But otherwise, it's exactly same. It's a pure parody. You understand? Parody. So verbatim repetition. Why there is a parody? We'll talk about it when we get there. And coming back to mantra 9, those who worship avidya, ignorance, enter into blinding darkness. But those who revel in vidya, rata means revel. Those who revel in vidya, knowledge, enter as it were into greater darkness than that. A very famous verse. Swamiji often quotes this verse. So this is the reference. It is a wake-up call for all spiritual practitioners throughout the world. And you will understand why we are saying that. So the word avidya means ignorance. Meaning what? Ignorance of supreme reality produces what? The world, a pluralistic world. And vidya means knowledge, spiritual practices, which are supposed to take you to the state of spiritual enlightenment. They take you beyond the world. So avidya means ignorance, means world. Vidya means knowledge, means spiritual practices. So he's saying, if you worship, if you pursue world, if you get entangled in the world, I mean, it will produce mental agitation. You're going to get into trouble. It's a common sense. I mean, we all know that. But then he drops a bombshell. If you pursue knowledge, spiritual practices, he's saying you're in bigger trouble. Thank you. That's the reason I was thinking about not attending Upanishad classes. No, and it was going over the head. Now, Master himself is saying, why are you wasting your time? Not really. So, what he's trying to tell us, we will analyze it step by step. Now, you are a combination of spirit plus matter, all of us. Spirit is the God principle in you, the divinity in you, and body, mind, intellect is the matter. So they are the veshas which envelop the supreme reality. So that is me, that is you, combination of spirit and matter. And this combination has a capacity to focus either on body, mind, intellect or on the supreme self, the divinity. If you focus on body, mind, intellect, at physical level, we talk about body, right? So if you focus on body, mind, intellect, if you focus on your physical body, you become a very physical person, right? All the time you're talking about gym, yoga, six pack, diet, supplement, this cream, that cream, Botox, and all that. Don't take it personally. This is a discussion all about the way I dress, the way I look. 10 times you will check in the mirror. So all the time the discussion is on, like the body, body, body. So become a very physical person because you are identifying with your body, right? Similarly, you can identify with your mind. So when you identify with your mind, you become an emotional person. That's what you transact. I miss you. Do you miss me? I love you. Let's hold hand together. I will send you later. You text me. I will text you. With everybody, right from family members. That's the talk. So you become a very emotional person. That's what you transact. If you focus on intellect, you become an intellectual, knowledge, ideas, and ideologies. You start chasing information. So you have a choice. So either you can focus on body, mind, intellect, right? So when you focus on body, mind, intellect, you become physical, emotional, intellectual person. That is all. But if you focus on the self in you, the God principle in you, you reach that eventually. You become the self. So that choice is given to you. You become what you think. That's the law. So if you think of body, body, body all the time, you become body, you become physical. If you think of mind, mind all the time, you become emotional person. If you think of intellect, intellect all the time, you become an intellectual person. But if you think of the self, if you focus on the self and then you carry on, you become a spiritual person. Now, most people not only they have identified with the world with body, mind, intellect, they are completely attached to it. They are totally lost in it. Somebody may say, and so what? So if I identify with body, mind, intellect, you are completely lost. And you pursue your desires at a level of body, mind, intellect throughout your life. There is no phase of your life when you're not entangled, when you're not caught up, when you're not obsessed, when you're not absolutely possessed by these pursuits. See, when you're a child is obsessed with what? With the toys. There is no way you can educate a child. Should not do that. You can't lecture to Vedanta. 5-year-old boy, what is in the hotel? What is in Niagara Falls? What is in a toy? What is in doll's house? So the child is absolutely involved in the toy world. Can you pull a child out of that pursuit? All of your parents. Is there one exception? Even Adi Shankaracharya, when he was 3 year old, his mother must have said the same thing. What is this boy? When is he going to grow up? So when you're a child, you are completely caught up in the toy world. When you're a teenager, you are completely caught up in teenage passions. When you're an adult, you're caught up in what? Everything. Wealth, name, family, power, family acquisition, enjoyment. Now, can anybody pull you out of this and say, hey, come on, There are Upanishad lectures going on. There is Vedanta classes going on. Why don't you think about your purpose of life? Impossible. I am I meeting. Then I have to attend a wedding. Then I have to go for this. I have to go for that. After that, maybe I'll come. No, but then that cruise is the Viking cruise I have booked. I saw the ad and I got, it was my dream. Come back again, work again, wedding again, baby shower again. This whole life goes into that. And when your old age is associated with worry and anxiety, you get the point. It all starts with identifying with body, mind, intellect. Up to here, there's no problems. What's the big deal? But you are completely entangled, completely obsessed with the pursuit of body, mind, and intellect. So you cannot talk to anyone about self-improvement. Forget about reaching the state of self-realization. And why he says, when you are attached to avidya, those who worship avidya, those who pursue world, they enter into blinding darkness. So what are the consequences of attachment to the world? Are you getting the thought flow? So what are the consequences when you are attached, entangled in the world completely? So you stagnate in life. You don't grow. You do not move towards the self. You stay put in the world. See, we often talk about direction. This is supreme reality. This is world. So you stay put. There is no way you will move even an inch towards the supreme reality because you are entangled in all aspects of life. There is no aspect of life, part of life, phase of your life, facet of your life where you are not entangled throughout your life. So therefore you stagnate. You don't grow as a human being. Any attachment produces worry and anxiety, sorrow and suffering. Life becomes hellish when it is pronounced. It could be like you're tossed like a feather in the summer breeze. Could be anything. Could be financial issue, could be marital issue, could be family issue, could be anything. So any attachment, if you're attached, if you're possessive, it produces mental agitations. Your life could become hellish. You're tossed by your desires, you're tossed by your attachment, you're tossed by your possessiveness. You remain at the level of misapprehension. Snake is this, snake is that. What snake? There is no snake. So you remain at the level of pluralistic world, which is not there. It is a misunderstanding of the supreme reality, non-understanding of the supreme reality, which has produced the world. Instead of coming out of that misunderstanding, you remain put in supreme, in the world. And everybody is doing that. Our mission in life is to settle down in life. You understand absurdity. And that doesn't mean, leave everything and go somewhere. And this is how people, they misunderstand. I want to have a good life. Incidentally, you may have, but that's not should not be the focus. I need a great job, or I have a great job. I'm doing fine in my business, no financial worries. Children are doing well, even pets are doing well, everything is perfect. Health is okay. I'm enjoying my life. What? Enjoying ignorance. If you really understand. Therefore, he says you go into blinding darkness, and blind person can't see. So you can't see where you're going, what is happening to you. Yeah, you get some temporary bouts of joy. Once in a while, you get that kick. But the void remains, the incompleteness remains. And even the joy which you claim, no, I am happy, is not actually true happiness. It is linked to something on which you have no control. Your happiness, our happiness, my happiness is linked to objects and beings. If those objects and beings go, we are finished. Fortunately, most of us don't understand that because nothing serious happens to us, So the whole life is like a fool's paradise. I feel I am peaceful. I'm fine. But wait till the object of your attachment or a being of your attachment is taken away from you. That is where you'll be exposed. So fortunately or Actually, it's unfortunately, I can't say fortunately. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen to us. Most of, I mean, how many times you go through tragedy in life? And even if you get a setback in life, that does not mean you become spiritual. Otherwise, life will be very easy. Out of understanding, out of this knowledge, you should find out what's your purpose in life. So therefore, he says, those who are attached to avidya, those who are attached to world, those who pursue body, mind, intellect, and its desires, they go into blinding darkness. Now, minority take to spiritual path. 90%, 95%, or maybe more, everybody is pursuing the world, everybody is attached to the world, everybody is entangled in the world. Then there are few people like you and me who take to spiritual path. There is some kind of query, there is some kind of investigation. You want to know what is the purpose of life, genuinely, there is that desire to know the ultimate. There is mumukshatva, I want to reach the ultimate. Genuine, the pursuit is genuine. So scriptures, they prescribe three traditional spiritual practices: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. Path of service, path of devotion, path of knowledge. We all know that. So they are designed to purify and eliminate our desires. That's the purpose of these three spiritual practices. Without these three spiritual practices, you cannot evolve. You cannot purify your desires. You cannot eliminate your desires. But people get attached to spiritual practices. See, that is where the problem starts. And attachment to spiritual practices is far more pronounced than your attachment to the world. Because the joy which you get from spiritual practices is far superior. See, we often talk about giving as opposed to taking. So once you get into that frequency of giving, I mean, you are literally walking on cloud nine. I mean, you have to experience that, right? When you purify your emotions, when you shift your emotions towards something higher, towards Lord, towards supreme reality, see, your personality gets that lift, and you have not experienced that before. Even when it comes to study, I mean, this you could get completely lost in this knowledge. The way they explain the literary beauty of the scriptures, there is tremendous joy. So what could happen? What happens most people is that they get completely lost in the joy. So the word which they use is rata. You start reveling in these three spiritual practices. Why you start reveling in these three spiritual practices? Because the joy is far, far superior. And there is no way you can come out of that joy. So you get attached, you become possessive about spiritual practices. So that attachment, that bondage, that possessiveness to spiritual practices is far, far greater than your attachment to worldly objects and beings. So therefore, we find there are so many divisions and demarcations within a religion. You must understand the psychology. You hold on to your views. I am Shaivites. And what is the other one? Vaishnavites. In India, they have this division. I mean, what is that? There is only one supreme reality, but why can't you come out of that? I get that, that kick when I say I am Shaivite. Vaishnavite, he gets that kick. Oh, I am Vaishnavite. So all divisions, all religions, they have these divisions and demarcation because they get that kick out of that. And there is no way they can come out of that. And when it is pronounced, you become a religious fanatic. Now you get the answer. Why you cannot destroy religious fanaticism in the world? There is no way. You may try to fight with them, you may do, it's not, nobody has succeeded in last 2, 3,000, 5,000 years. All battles, practically all major wars were fought in the name of religion. Same thing is happening. But that attachment is so powerful, it is so enchanting that there is no way you can come out of that. But the fact remains that spiritual practices are must, but they are means to an end. Without spiritual practices, without karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, there is no way you can evolve. You cannot reach the supreme reality. But if you hang on to the spiritual practices, if you hold on to the spiritual practices, you cannot reach the ultimate. So without karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, you cannot reach the supreme. Also with karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, you cannot reach the supreme. If you understand it is means to an end, then you become objective. You want to take a flight to London. There is no way you can cross the Atlantic without a flight. Can you cross Atlantic without a flight? It's not possible, right? But if you get attached to the plane, oh, it's a dreamliner. Wow. It was my dream to fly in a dreamliner. And now on this segment, Detroit, London segment, they have introduced dreamliner. And you fall in love with the plane. And when you land in London, you refuse to get out. How will you reach London? Exactly same thing is happening to 99.99% spiritual practitioners. They are these spiritual practices. They are so enchanting. They are so soothing. They give that kick. So we fall in love with them, and we forget that they are means to an end. We start treating spiritual practices as an end in itself. So what are you doing? You are replacing one set of desires with another set of desires. Yes, maybe you conquered your worldly attachment, but now you are you are attached to your religious attachments. So you remain in terrestrial, because spiritual practices are also terrestrial. End of the day. Another way to understand this concept is karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. They are supposed to help us to come out of the conditioned states. See, desire is a problem. As long as you have desires, desires will manifest as deep sleep, dream, waking state. These are conditioned states. These are not our original states. So spiritual practices, they are supposed to push us out of these conditioned states. But if you get attached to spiritual practices, you remain in conditioned states. How will you reach the state of unconditioning, which is the state of self-realization? So it is means to an end. So therefore, either way, you're not moving towards the self. Those who are attached to the world, we understand. There is no way they are moving to the self in that direction. Those who are attached to spiritual practices, they are also not moving to the supreme reality. So who is moving towards supreme reality? No one. No one is moving. So you need to be aware of this. That's that warning. And what is that warning? It is a mind which has a tendency to get attached to whatever it contacts. When your mind is powerful, when your intellect is weak, which is all of us, whatever mind contacts, if mind contacts money, it gets attached to money. If mind contacts partner, it gets attached to partner. Mind contacts pet, it gets attached to pet. Mind contacts power, you get attached to power. So whatever mind contacts, it has, that's the nature of the mind, to become attached to whatever it contacts. And only if you have a powerful intellect, you can be objective. If your intellect is not developed, yes, you're getting attached to the world, all aspects of the world. With the same mind, you come to the spiritual path, you get attached to the spiritual path. Shifting your area of operation, attachment is not going to go away. You get the point? And hardly anybody puts efforts to fortify the intellect. Same mind you carry everywhere. You may get fed up of the world and, okay, I want to take to spiritual path. You get attached to the spiritual path. So therefore, as a seeker, true seeker, is for us, you need to be aware of this, that mind has a tendency to get attached to everything, including spiritual path. And only strong intellect gives objectivity. then you understand spiritual practices are means to an end. And what are you doing about fortifying your intellect? Most people, they don't do anything. That's the focus in this forum. We keep on saying buddhi, buddhi, intellect. So what is the conclusion? You are not attending to your spiritual aspect of life at all. Most people, they are not doing it. Therefore, your growth is lopsided. Along with your job, your family, whatever obligations you have, you need to attend to your spiritual growth. And if you do not attend to your spiritual growth, you will get attached to the lower values. Only spiritual growth meaning what? Like higher values. So only when you identify with the higher values is what we are studying, right? You will not be attached to whatever you are doing. I mean, you will function objectively. You'll know how to handle your family, you will know how to handle your business, in a spirit of renunciation. You will not be selfish. You'll function in the spirit of service and sacrifice. That's what we mean by higher values. So if you don't put efforts, whole life you'll be victimized by your self-centered desires. And you'll be attached there, you'll be caught up there. There is nothing you can do. So therefore, you need this knowledge. When you need this knowledge, it should have started yesterday. This itself is too late. Therefore, your personality is lopsided. You may be successful, but then there is no peace, there is no contentment, there is no harmony. That's what we mean by lopsided. So therefore, you need knowledge of the scriptures. So when you get established in the higher values, lower values, they automatically fall off. If you don't do that, whole life you'll be playing with the toys, set of toys. That is all. So therefore, you need spiritual knowledge, and you need to maintain objectivity in spiritual path also. 2 points. You get the gist. Most people, they are not attending to their spiritual growth at all. So therefore, there is stress, there is worry, there is anxiety, there is conflict, there is separation and all that. There is war, there is anarchy. All these are symptoms of not taking care of our spiritual growth. Therefore, we need knowledge of the scriptures. As you get established in the knowledge of the scriptures, you will overcome your worldly attachments. You will come out of that. But then the warning is you have to be careful about not getting attached to spiritual path also. That will give you moksha, liberation. So very powerful mantra. So now you read the translation. Those who worship avidya, ignorance, enter into blinding darkness. We discussed. But those who revel, rata means revel, those who are attached, those who revel in vidya, knowledge, enter as it were into greater darkness than that. So are we clear? Any questions? Any doubt based on what we discussed today? You're good. So either I had done my job or I confuse you completely. I don't know. But
Amiji, how does one maintain objectivity in spiritual path?
intellect, powerful intellect. Powerful intellect equals objectivity.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So see you next week. Sorry. Yeah. Who has a question? Yes. Yes, Kaya. You need to unmute yourself.
Last weekend, I lost my phone down in the cities. I don't live in the cities, but I'm about an hour out. I had a massive panic attack, and I kept hearing your voice. You'll know how spiritually evolved you are when you lose something. Well, that's all I kept telling myself during the whole thing while I was running around frantically looking for it. And I realized how attached I was to this because it holds my livelihood in it. It had 2 credit cards, my driver's license. And I just want to say it was a powerful lesson for me to realize how attached I am to this worldly object. And I'm grateful for your teachings, and I'm seriously considering your e-learning now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But you got it back, right? Your phone?
Yeah, I found it. It was a weird story. Someday I'll tell you,
Yeah,
but
sure.
your messages hit home that
Okay.
I'm not spiritually evolved.
No, you don't underestimate yourself. See, if you're totally attached, you would have lost that phone. There was some built-in detachment, therefore you got it back.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I'm
the
just so grateful.
don't underestimate yourself.
Okay. Well, just know, don't be surprised if I sign up soon for your e-learning. I've been looking into it.
As Swamiji is learning, not mine. Swamiji is
Samaji's, yes. Yes.
yeah, that's
Thank
the
you so
ultimate.
much.
That's the ultimate.
Have a good week, everybody.
Good weekend. Yeah.
Thanks, Swamiji.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Michi.
Amici.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Amici.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.